$111 a barrel. That's not a forecast. That's what oil costs right now. As the Trump-Iran war rages on, global markets are in turmoil. The price of oil has surged 51% in just March alone. For many Americans, that translates to paying over $4 per gallon at the pump, the highest since 2022. If you drove to work today, you felt this financial strain firsthand. But here's what nobody's talking about. This crisis has the potential to dwarf the 1973 oil embargo. Stick with us as we uncover the full story. Back in February 2026, President Trump's unexpected pivot from unveiling UFO files to targeting Iran set off a chain of events leading us here. On February 20th, he signed an executive order redirecting military focus. By early March, U.S. and Israeli forces launched strikes against Iran. It's now been over 33 days, and the conflict shows no signs of abating. These aggressive maneuvers around the Strait of Hormuz, a vital oil choke point, have disrupted nearly 20% of the world's oil supply. The initial strikes caused a ripple, but the continuing blockade has become a full-on crisis. With these moves, Trump has not just escalated a regional conflict, but has thrown the global oil market into chaos. The Strait of Hormuz, a narrow passage that's crucial for global energy supplies, handles about 20% of the world's oil shipments. It's effectively shut down due to the ongoing conflict. This choke point is only 21 miles wide at its narrowest point, yet its strategic importance is unmatched. As U.S. and Iranian naval forces clash, tankers carrying millions of barrels remain stranded. For every day the strait remains closed, the repercussions grow more severe. The oil supply chain is disrupted, causing a strain not just in the Middle East, but in every corner of the globe. So what happens if this vital artery remains blocked for much longer? In March alone, the price of oil has surged an unprecedented 51%. After Trump's April 2nd primetime announcement, prices jumped 11% overnight to $111 a barrel, marking the highest increase since 1983. For Americans, this means feeling the pinch with every trip to the gas station. National averages have soared to $4.06 per gallon, with California drivers shelling out nearly $5.89. Diesel prices haven't been spared either, now up over 40%, sitting at $5 a gallon. This isn't just about fuel. Higher transportation costs inflate the prices of everyday goods, making essential items even more out of reach for struggling families. The oil crisis is not just an economic hurdle, it's a societal divider. While affluent families might absorb the costs, low-income households are facing a K-shaped crisis, a term coined by Fortune to describe the unequal impact. Those at the bottom are being hit hardest, as a 33% year-over-year increase in gas prices drains their limited budgets. The cost of living is sharply rising, exacerbating inequalities. For low-income families already living paycheck to paycheck, this oil shock is more than an inconvenience. It's a direct threat to their financial survival. But there's another layer to this crisis still unfolding. While the U.S. continues to bomb Iran, it's also being compelled to engage in an awkward dance of diplomacy over oil. Notably, Trump issued a 30-day sanctions waiver for about 140 million barrels of Iranian oil stranded at sea. At the same time, he sanctioned Iran's shadow fleet, which is instrumental in smuggling oil to China. This move comes after a reversal of January's 25% tariffs on countries buying Iranian oil. These contradictory strategies highlight the complexity of geopolitics in times of conflict. But can these measures prevent an economic catastrophe? Or are they simply too little, too late? The escalating conflict has also rekindled nuclear fears. The International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, has raised alarms, confirming damage to Iran's Natanz facility from recent strikes. Before the war, Iran had amassed 440.9 kilograms of uranium enriched to 60%, a significant step towards weapons-grade material. The IAEA warns of a potential radiological release that could necessitate evacuations on a city scale. Iran, in retaliation, suspended cooperation with inspectors and moved the enriched uranium to fortified underground tunnels at Isfahan. The stakes have never been higher, and the risk of a radiological catastrophe looms large. How long can this dangerous status quo hold? Analysts are now modeling what was once unthinkable: $150 to $200 per barrel oil. If the Strait of Hormuz remains closed, these predictions could become reality, sending shockwaves through global economies. The International Energy Agency, IEA, calls this the largest supply disruption in the history of the global oil market. Economies heavily reliant on oil imports face looming crises, and the ripple effects are already being felt. From skyrocketing shipping costs to unaffordable air travel, every sector is bracing for impact. But the question remains: can these economic tremors trigger a recession or something worse? The ramifications of this conflict extend far beyond the Middle East. The shut Strait of Hormuz has triggered a cascade of global disruptions. As oil prices surge, countries around the world are grappling with accelerated inflation, affecting everything from food prices to shipping costs. In response, central banks are hiking interest rates, attempting to stave off runaway inflation. Airlines are slashing routes, and the cost of goods continues to rise, hitting consumers worldwide. The world is watching, and with every day the strait remains closed, the stakes grow ever higher. What global power can mediate this escalating crisis? As tensions peak, the world anxiously awaits signs of de-escalation. A ceasefire could reopen the Strait of Hormuz, stabilizing oil prices and offering some economic relief. However, the prospect of escalation looms large with threats of further military action. Détente seems distant as diplomatic efforts struggle against the backdrop of geopolitical chess. Trump's brinkmanship has left global leaders scrambling to find a solution. The choices made in the coming weeks could determine whether oil stabilizes or climbs to $200 a barrel, reshaping the world's economic landscape. What resolution, if any, lies on the horizon?